Hey everybody, another week here at the farm, just trying to catch up on some videos. Haven't been able to get much up. There's only so much we can do with the amount of snow and ice we've got right now, but it is going away. We've got a good week of warm weather coming at us. It's +6 here right now at 6:30, still daylight, so that's a good thing. We're happy for that. Next week, end of this week into next week, we're looking at getting into the double digits on the plus side, and you guys are going to hear a lot of her in the video. She thinks it's feeding time, and it's not too far away from feeding time, but we're going to put feeding time on hold tonight because we're going to try and get a set of ice shoes put on the big horse, so as the weather starts to progressively get nicer and nicer, I can start riding him on the road without wearing his feet down. And I'm waiting on some shoe nails coming in on order so we can put shoes on the little horse as well. So tonight's just going to be the big guy. I'll get some video of me putting the shoes on. I am not a professional farrier. I'm a mediocre, middle of the road kind of farrier. I do my own horses and that's it. I trained underneath a professional trainer who also did farrier work and all that stuff, so I got to learn to train horses and do my own horse's feet there as well. So I've been doing my guy for 10 years now, and we've dealt with everything from just minor trims to removing abscesses and putting pads on with special winter shoes and so on, as well as any of the other horses we've had here on the property. And I do the donkey's feet as well. When I first started out doing this, I just kind of was working as an apprentice under somebody who has a lot of experience doing this. He's passed on now, unfortunately. And then as I started to venture out and do my own thing, I started doing a lot of minis. I had one customer that I traded off my farrier services on a bunch of his miniature horses and donkeys for my board and stall rent for my big horse when I lived away from home. So he's been with me for a while, the big horse has, and the little donkey, she's been with me for a while. I've had her since she was born, and her and her mother and father and siblings and pasture mates and farm friends. There was 60 plus minis on the farm that I did all their feet, everything from young foals to age stallions and everything in between. So I've got a little bit of experience, not all the experience, and you can always learn doing this stuff, so let's keep that in mind. But yeah, so I know this guy's feet inside and out. I've been doing his feet for 10 years now, so he's pretty easy to do. He likes to push me around a little bit and lay on me, but not too bad. So hopefully we can get a decent video of this for you. I'll try and move the camera around so you guys can see, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to get started. I'm going to put on my PPE. I got a pair of farrier's chaps here. They've got double fronted leather, so that way when I'm driving the horseshoe nails through the foot, as they come out through the side, if he pulls his foot away, he's not going to drive a nail through the side of my leg. So we'll get those put on, and then we'll get him tied up, get his blanket taken off of him, and then we'll get into trimming his feet up and getting ready to get him shod up here so we can start putting some miles on him. And we'll probably trim the little horse as well while we're at it, just to keep her in check with the big horse. Try to keep them all within a day or so of each other. If I'm feeling real good and my back's not bothering me too much, I'll do them all in one night, but that's a lot when you're not used to doing this every day. So it's a whole different set of muscles that you use, and you're dealing with a 1,000-pound animal laying on you, so it can be taxing on the body. My chiropractor loves me for doing this. Alright, so let's go get him haltered and tied up and get his blanket off of him. See if I can get my fancy camera stand set up here tonight. Alright, so we got them tied there so you can't walk out of the stall on me. And we'll just grab the shoeing box. So this is our shoeing box here. It's got all the tools in it. Everything you need: knives for trimming, nippers for trimming, rasps for leveling off, all the paraphernalia you need to do this. When my trainer slash mentor passed away, I was fortunate enough to inherit all of his shoeing equipment and trimming materials and all the parts and pieces that you need for this kind of stuff. And it's been very handy. It's meant a lot to me keeping this box of tools. So bear with me on the camera angles. May or may not be perfect by any stretch. I'll do what I can. I've only got so many hands and I kind of need both for doing this job. So first we just take the hoof knife and use the back of it, clean out all the crud and everything that's in there that's undesirable. And see what we're working with. Make sure there's nothing stuck in his feet. Looks like he had a little puncture wound of some sort there. Soft spot. Okay. So as he's getting older, he's getting a little stiffer in the shoulder on me, so can't get his foot out here quite as far, so I've got to get more under him. So the key to this is either you learn to do it yourself, so like rotating tires in your car, you learn to do it yourself or you pay somebody who does. And fortunately, I was able to learn how to do it myself. So it's been a huge help and cost saver. It can get pricey after you get a cup, so we're going to take the nippers after we get the sole pared down a little bit. Got to go all the way around the foot there. Is the way he wears his foot naturally. This trip, he's walking more on the outside of his foot. So I go around the other inside of the foot just to level it up, get him square. A little bit. See if I can get you some better angle. There. So we've got the foot trimmed up a little bit here now. Go. It's got a bit of a bruise there from a chunk of ice or a rock or something. We had him out and rode him down the pavement here a couple days ago. So this could just be a small puncture from a rock or anything like that. We'll just delicately pare it away. Try not to get too deep. You don't want to open up the soft tissue underneath if you don't have to. And then we just kind of want to go around with the knife and take off some of the sole. Again, not getting them too low to the point where you make them sore. My job as a farrier When the horse walks up, if he walks up sound, he should walk away sound. And then we trim away the frog, take some of the excess growth off that's not shedding away on its own. So that way the frog will shed its own debris and dirt. It won't catch anything and hold it in the foot. So if you see there, switch knives, there's a right-handed knife and a left-handed knife for doing this, and I'll show you the difference here in just a second. Hey. Out, Dixie. So trick this, when I look down the foot, I want it to be nice and flat as it hangs naturally. No high spots in the foot, looking down the plane of it this direction. And I don't want the frog to be any lower than the rim of the foot, because that's where he gets all of his pressure. Let's know how hard he's putting his foot down. For a close-up. So that's what the trim foot looks like. I'm sure I've got lots of room for improvement in my abilities here, but like I said, I don't do this every day. So a little out of practice. It's been a few months since I put a set of shoes on. I pulled the shoes off these guys back in the fall, just because I wasn't riding them, wasn't using them. We didn't have any ice, so I didn't have to worry about it. So they stayed good and sound. They're safer without shoes, and it's less maintenance without shoes. So if I run shoes on these guys through the winter months, I'm going to put a pad in there with the shoe to keep the ice from building up in the foot. And what happens is the ice will build up and make balls in the feet, because the snow and ice will stick to the metal shoe. And the horse's foot doesn't create enough heat to shed the ice and the snow out. So with that being said, we have special pads that we run on them, and there's different types of pads, different setups. Everybody runs them differently. Some people use, this is an old pad now, mind you, so they use just a normal plastic pad. It's flexible, and then they'll pack pine tar and oakum rope in behind that, and that'll help keep out the dirt and the infection and fungal growth from them standing in their own manure and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is it'll bulge the pad out past where it normally would sit, so that way when the horse sets its foot down, that pad compresses up into the shoe with the horse's weight on it, and then when they pick their foot up, that pad drops back down and it pops the snow and the ice out. And then there's another pad you can get, I don't believe I have any here, and they have like a little spherical ball, kind of, you know, not real big, just a little sphere on the bottom that sticks out towards the ground, and that works in the same principle. Anytime you put pads on, you've got to pack with some sort of hoof packing underneath, to help keep the foot clean, keep the debris out. Otherwise you have a chance of rocks and manure and that kind of stuff getting in there, and then that causes more issues. You'll end up with stone bruises, abscesses, and fungal growth in underneath the pad, and there's plenty of other nastiness that comes with that. So to avoid a lot of that, with using a full pad through the winter months to keep the snow out, I use these half snow pads. This is an older, wore out one now, but this roll of rubber here lays against the rim of the shoe. Let's see if I can mock this up like that, and then that rubber will compress and pop the ice away. Or it also adds a barrier there between the steel and the snow, so it doesn't stick to the steel, because the snow and the ice will stick to the steel and won't give out and fall away as easy as it will with that rubber pad in the way. So we run those in the winter time, and like I said, we're on the tail end of winter here. He's got warm enough feet on his own that I don't have to worry about him packing up full of snow, because the snow is pretty rotten now and soft, and it's going to melt away quite a bit. So this is more or less just protection for him, riding him on the road to keep his feet from getting wore down and protect him from the rocks, and to give him traction on the ice. And you'll see on these shoes there's boreum little studs welded on there. Boreum's like a grippy carbide that I weld on onto a regular flat shoe, and then that gives him some traction on the ice. So that's all this is really for, is just for traction on the ice and protection of the foot on the pavement. I don't have any worry about him building up ice and stuff in his foot now, because we're getting into warm enough temperatures, so we don't have to worry about that. That's kind of more of a winter when you're into the heavy snow. So we're going to check this shoe and see if it's going to fit his foot, and we may have to do some shaping of the shoe. Try and get you on a good angle again. So bear with me, like I say, I'm just setting the phone / camera in my toolbox and using that as my camera stand. So just setting the shoe on there. It looks like we're gonna have to close up the heels a little bit, so we don't want the heel sticking out past the back of the foot. So you can see we don't want that heel sticking out past the back of the foot, because what'll happen is he'll overreach. If he overreaches or he steps on it with his front foot, with his back foot, and catches those heels, he'll lock his legs up and he won't be able to walk, or he'll either rip the shoe off or damage his foot. So we're going to turn those heels in. Other than that, this shoe fits pretty good. This guy's foot averagely normally takes a size 2 shoe. Doesn't take a whole lot of shaping. His foot's got a really nice natural round shape to it. And I buy my shoes pre-made. Okay, so we got our shoe all shaped. Let's go dry fit this. See how it looks on the foot. Hi, big fella. I apologize for the bright light if I hit you with the light. Again, I'm trying to do this one-handed and run the phone. So there, we're just about right. I got to turn this heel in here a little bit more, but not too much more. Easy, old fella. Come on, Dixie. Got my faithful barn help with me tonight. Dixie the farm dog. Alright, so we're going to turn that heel in a little more. We should be all set to go start nailing. Alright, so let's get set back up. That should pretty well be doing. That should pretty well do what we need to do. Come on, Dixie, get out. Put our toolbox back in here. Get this set up. So looking at his foot, I got a little bit of a hollow spot here on one side. Let's rectify that right quick with this grass. Alright, that looks pretty good. So, now we nail these on. There's a special shoe nail. I don't know if you can see that. But they have a special angle cut on this side of them that makes them come out through the side of the foot. Now if I mess up and put this in this way, this is going to go into the interior of his foot. So every shoe has a mark on the inside of the head right here. And as long as you remember to put that mark to the inside of the foot, you shouldn't have any issue. As long as the nail isn't defective. So throw a couple of those in your lip and let's get ready to nail these on. So you put one nail in, you just start to get it drove. Don't get carried away until you get the second shoe nail in. Now everybody does this differently, this is how I do it. Get that second nail in, get it started decent, and then you work one nail then the other. Because if you drive all one nail, the way the nail's tapered, it'll pull the shoe one way or the other, and then it ends up twisted on the foot. And then you got another whole kettle of fish in your hands. So we set them nails in deep like that. Hook the head of the hammer over the nail, pull it sideways, put a 90-degree angle on it, and then twist the tip off. Like that. And we throw that in the garbage box. Same thing on the other side. Give it a little love, some extra measure, and then bring that other nail off. And then we're going to go on to our next nail. Just like that. Now, each one of these shoes, each one of these shoes has provisions, I guess, for 8 nails. Now, it's up to your own personal preference, or your farrier's personal preference, whether they want to use all 8. That's not hurting him any, he just flinches at the swing of the hammer. It's a normal reaction. Most of them do. So, there's 8 nail holes. It's up to you whether you want to use all 8 or if you want to just use 6. Now the upside to using all 8 is you got 8 nails holding the shoe on. So you got a little bit more holding power. Now if you only use 6, yes, there's a chance that the shoe can get pulled off easier. That being said, if that shoe gets pulled off, it's only got 6 nails in it. It's less likely to put big time damage on the foot when the nails come off and rip through the side of the foot. If it's not wore out to the point where it's ready to come off, then you run into issues because you lose a lot of foot. So if there's all 8 nails and you rip off all 4 nails off of this side, takes the whole side of the foot out, you got nothing left to nail to. Put that shoe back on to give protection to the foot that's now damaged and compromised until it can grow back, because these feet just grow like your fingernails. So I only use 6, then I've got room just in case the foot grows funny or a shoe pulls off bad and leaves a mess of the foot. Then I got something I can nail to temporarily get a shoe back on if I can't get all 3 of the front holes. I can get 1 or 2 nails in the front, then I can get 1 way in the back and guarantee that that shoe will be on there and that foot will have protection until it has a chance to grow back. Now he's got a lot of shell wall growth around the outside of the foot on the inside because he wears the outside of his foot. See if I can show you. If you see that right here, it's a lot of shell wall. There's still lots behind that. So we're just going to knock that off with the nipper so I know how far back I can go with the rasp when I'm dressing his toe. Dixie, go lay down. So we just take that big ridge off. Save me a little bit of work with the rasp later on. And then we have a nailed on shoe. So you might have seen me use this metal block. It's called the clinch block. So when the nail comes out through the side of the foot and you wring the end off the nail to start the bend of the nail, because when the nail comes out through the side of the foot like this, you take the end off of it. Nail comes out through the side of the foot like this, you take the end off of it. You want that nail to bend over the side of the shell wall like that, and that's what holds the shoe on. If you just drive those nails through there, wring them off, first step in the mud, that shoe's coming off. Or if he gets it hung up on a rock or a root or anything at all, they'll pull right out. So we use the clinch block, set the nails. That just goes in behind the back of the nail where it was ringed off, twisted off. And then we hit the head of the nail, and that sets the nail down inside the fuller mark right here into the nail hole and swedges it into the shoe. And then once it's drove into the shoe like that, it can't back out. It starts to curl the nail out and over the side of the foot. And I'll get you set up here and I'll show you how we dress these off. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut those hard, rough, twisted ends off and make them flat. And we're going to file a little groove underneath them. And then we're going to bend them over. And then we're going to dress them off smooth so he doesn't strike himself or me or anything at all. Doesn't cause a wound with those nails that stick out to the side of the foot. Dress them off nice and smooth so that there's nothing to catch, nothing to cause any injuries or issue. And then we shape the foot and dress the outside wall of the foot to match the shoe and match the correct angle of his foot. So as you can see, we've got this stand right here. This is a hoof stand. This is what we set the foot up on. So that way we can dress the toe, clinch the nails down, and finish the foot off. Once we're done this step, that foot's done, then we move on to the next one. So I'll get my tools gathered up here. So I have a different rasp for dressing off. It's not as sharp as my trimming rasp. It doesn't have to be. We're just cleaning things up, making them look pretty. And then I've got a separate set of nippers that I use for cutting the ends off the nails and twisting ends off. The box is in a little disarray here. So these are my nippers I use for cutting the twisted ends of the nails off. And then these are a set of clinchers. This goes underneath the edge of the foot, and then you use that and pinch down the nail itself and fold it over the shell wall, and then we'll dress it off with the rasp. So we'll get his foot set up here on this stand. Doing young horses, this is probably the hardest thing to get them used to, this and the nailing. But so we're going to get him set up. He's an old veteran at this. Still likes to pull his foot back a little bit once in a while, but for the most part he's pretty good. Always do this wearing steel-toed boots. You don't want to have your western boots or a pair of sneakers on. You're doing this because sometimes they'll have a tendency to pull that foot back and slam it down on top of your foot on that metal stand and break your foot. So we're just taking these taking off these twisted ends, and then we'll get ready to dress this off. So we take the rasp and just file a little groove underneath the head of each nail, just like that, under the head of all 6. And then we use our clinchers. You just crimp those over all the way around. Then we take the smooth side of the rasp, and I'm going to start on this side and work this way. I start on that side and go that way. So I'm just going to work that foot. This is where you make or break the finished look of the foot. This is where the aesthetics comes in. This is where 9 times out of 10, if your client or your owner doesn't have a clue about what's going on here, you can do the best job and that horse can walk away sound, that shoe can stay on there for months. But if it don't look good, they're not going to be happy and they're going to ask you what they're paying for. So then turn the rasp over. It's got a sharp edge on the side, and you just go around. Rest the rasp on the shoe itself. Just work your way around that foot. Put a nice bevel on the edge of the foot where it meets the shoe. Make it look nice and pretty. And I got some hoof treatment goop. Hoof flex promotes health in the foot. We just paint a little bit of that on there, helps seal up that foot. And that's it. Bob's your uncle. That's that shoe on. We'll do the other front foot. So you can see that's what we started with. Here, no shoe, long toe, wear. And then this is what we go to here. And then we'll move on to the back feet. Unfortunately, I don't have enough battery left to keep filming. To do the other 4 feet, but that's the general idea, that's the concept. Hopefully we'll try and get another video up next time we get to reset these shoes, because they have to be redone every 6, 8, 10 weeks, usually interval, depending on how the horse's foot grows, what the terrain is, how the shoe wears, how the foot wears. Foot's not going to wear as much with the shoe on there, but it is going to continue to grow. Normally the shoe will shed, or the foot, sorry, will shed its own growth. It'll wear on the ground. The frog will shed off on its own. The soles will shed out on their own. But if your horse is on grass pasture, real soft soil, real soft land, they're not going to wear. There's no abrasiveness to that kind of footing, and they won't wear their feet. This guy's on pretty rough, hard old rocky pasture. He's pretty tough. I specifically pick my horses with black feet, 'cause black feet tend to be stronger, tougher, and harder than a white foot. Horse with a white foot, nothing against them, but they just don't hold up well on this terrain. I've had horses here with white feet, and it was just a fight to constantly keep them sound. I mean, they stayed sound for the most part, but you could tell there was some discomfort when they were walking over the rocks and so on. So I specifically picked my horses with black feet for that reason. And this guy sees a lot of road miles too, so the asphalt and chip seal tend to wear his feet down. If I was only riding them like once every few weeks, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But he's got a lot of action in his legs, and it snaps his feet against the asphalt with this kind of action, so it's like a really abrasive sandpaper, and it wears his feet off really fast. So we put the shoes on to give him protection from that, give him grip on the ice, protection from the rocks in the summertime so we don't get abscesses or stone bruises, and that's what keeps him happy if we're putting a lot of miles on. So normally he wears his feet bare in the wintertime, and sometimes in the summertime if the ground's good enough he wears his feet bare and we don't get too carried away. But if I'm putting miles on, I put the shoes on. It'd be like making you carry a 50-pound bag on your shoulders and go run around the rocks for a while. It's not going to be comfortable, so you want a pair of boots, so this is his boots. So hopefully the next time we'll have some more video on this. Maybe I can get a full set of shoes in on the next video, and we'll do an update on how the chickens are doing, and the chicks, and our Buckeye chicks, and our New Orpington chicks, and our egg production is at an all-time high right now. All of our girls are laying, and the potatoes in the bucket are growing like wildfire. So somebody wants to be fed. So yeah, our potatoes in the buckets are growing like wildfire. So hopefully our next video will be an update on that kind of stuff, and hopefully within the next few weeks we can start getting out and start doing some ground prep, getting some gardens ready, and all that fun stuff, and doing some bed boxes, getting those ready for planting season. So I better get this done because we're running out of daylight, and I was hoping to get these guys out. So we'll catch you on the next one. Enjoy.